So now it's time for real showman, Stephen Baker. You have to listen his stories about Trailer Park Boys, but now will be something more into the programming, hopefully. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Good luck, the stage is yours.
Thanks, buddy. And oh yeah, I need this fucking thing too. All right, thanks. Do I get a red light on this bitch? Oh, look at this. Any cats in here? All right, cool. So I don't remember what I said I was going to talk about. And I saw it on the sign today for the first time, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot to tell them I changed my fucking mind. So I can't remember what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about something like, you know, Rails like 20 years old, and it was kind of, you know, there weren't a lot of new projects getting started in Rails for a while, and it's kind of coming back, and isn't that awesome? And while I was working out my thoughts on that, I realized, wow, writing software has gotten so much better, and we fucked it up badly. So making easy things hard, why did we do this to ourselves? So this is me. If you want to talk to me or curse at me on Twitter, you know, tell me you hate my beard, that's where you can do it. I'll show this again at the end. I'm a storyteller. I'm going to tell a story, and then I'm going to try and make it sound relevant. And so I'm from a place in Canada called Nova Scotia. It's on the East Coast. It's a small drinking province with a minor fishing problem. And it's known for a couple of things. It's known for donairs, which is very similar to the food that you guys, that has a similar name that, you know, exists over here. But back in the 50s, some dude from Lebanon moved to Halifax and decided he was going to bring his food with him. And the local people said, man, this shit sucks. And so he decided, well, I'm just going to make a special sauce that, you know, appeals to the local appetite. And he just took some milk and curdled it and added shitloads of sugar and called it sweet sauce. And that's the food you eat when you're drunk in Halifax, which is the best drinking town in the world, by the way. It's also known for the Blue Nose. If you're from Nova Scotia like I am, we're called Blue Nosers. It's the fastest sailing schooner in the world. We put it on the dime. That's a 10-cent piece from Canada. It's also known for, oh shit, I missed the Trailer Park Boys. Oh man, I don't have my notes or anything, so I'm just fucking winging it up here. So it's also the home of the Marconi Wireless Station. It was the site, the first transatlantic radio transmission came from Nova Scotia. That's pretty fucking cool. And, oh, there we go. There's the boys. So since I moved to Sweden, I always thought it was really, I ran into some people that know who the Trailer Park Boys are, and I was like, fucking really? 80% of the jokes in that show you have to be from there to get. So all of you that love the show, you're only getting 20% of it. It's awesome. Actually, the first 2 seasons were filmed in a trailer park where my cousin used to live. He's dead now. He killed himself. Not because they filmed the TV show there. You know, he was fucked up. Anyways. Also the Bay of Fundy. Tallest tides in the world, like, I don't know, 26 meters or some fucking thing. So if you go walking on the beach in Nova Scotia, on that side of Nova Scotia, and your feet get stuck in the sand, you're pretty much fucked. But all of the stories I want to tell today come from this one place in Nova Scotia called Cornwallis Park. It used to be called CFB Cornwallis. It was closed in 1995. CFB is Canadian Forces Base. It's actually, my dad was in the Navy for 22 years. He did his basic training in Cornwallis in 1977. And they closed the base in 1995. I don't think it had anything to do with him being there 20 years earlier, but he did get drunk and arrested a lot in military vehicles. So it might be. The base was the region's largest employer. I think there were like somewhere between 1,200 and 2,000 jobs on the base. There were 400 houses on the base. All of the, ancillary sort of, things like the convenience stores, the grocery stores, the cinemas and all that shit. Speaking of cinemas, isn't this fucking building awesome? Holy shit. Anyways, so what happens to a community when its largest employer disappears overnight? And they said when I got to Cornwallis Park, spoiler alert, I went there to work. In 1997, I think, the newspaper had just run a story that said they turned the electricity off in Cornwallis Park. There were 400 houses there, and they were all empty. So they just turned the electricity off there for 2 years. It was a complete ghost town. So what happened was, in Canada, when a region sort of, dies and dries up, they opened a Regional Economic Development Authority, which is a government organization to, bring people and money there, right? They bring people and money, except they don't pay it to the government staff, because you can't give money to people who work for the government. But, they bring people and money. And so the one that I worked for was called the Western Valley Development Authority. And it's the green region on that superimposed map of Nova Scotia there. Area's about, I don't know, I have my fucking notes, I'm going to make up half of it. Like 40,000 people. It's driving tip to tip. If you were going to do it, it takes like, I don't know, hour and a half or something like that. And so they hired this ugly motherfucker to be a job called technical coordinator. And why did I get that job? Not because I was super qualified for it. It was because of the only person, literally the only person they could find who was willing to live there and could write software and knew how to administrate Debian boxes and stuff. And don't make too much fun of that picture, because my son is sitting here with me and I'm so proud of that, and he looks just like I did then, so. So one of my jobs there was to run the Western Valley Community Net, which is like a internet service provider. We did web and email hosting for all the local businesses to try and help them get on the internet. This is, by the way, 1999-ish, 99, 2000. And I wasn't even old enough to drink. And so it didn't stop me, but I went down there, and so I get to run this, and this is one of the first jobs. A couple of servers under some desks. It was badass. There were like 20,000 people using it. I also got, and I don't know why anybody gave me this fucking job, because I was like 19 years old. I was the project manager for a 350 kilometer run of fiber from Halifax to Yarmouth. And if you look at the like undersea cable maps, the transatlantic cables terminate in Halifax, and other transatlantic cables terminate in Boston, and Yarmouth connected to Boston. So I managed this project that connected, that made it effectively another connection to the transatlantic cables, and it was badass, right? And I got to go to meetings because I didn't understand anything. I was just, I was just a young redneck, and we go to meetings. They were like, "It's going to cost $4 million to run, to run this 50 kilometer run of fiber through these neighborhoods." I'm like, "Fuck that! We'll call Larry and get a pickup truck and 2 cases of beer and bury that shit, no problem." And so, anyways, we did it. It's cool. If you ever go to that part of Canada, which is pretty cool, it's really nice to visit. Don't fucking live there, God. If you ever go visit there, definitely you're welcome for the internet. Also, the spot right there, right over it says an hour and 49 minutes is Digby. I'm not sure if you guys eat scallops, the shellfish. They're the size of hockey pucks in Digby. They're awesome. Anyways, here's another cool thing I did. Went down, I really don't have my notes. I'm like flapping in the wind here. In that part of Canada, the Acadian settlers are there. The Acadians are the French people that we didn't get rid of when we came into Canada. And the French people the Americans didn't get rid of are called the Cajuns. And the word Cajun is because it sounds, with a southern drawl, it sounds kind of like Acadien. And so the Acadians in Nova Scotia and the Cajuns speak a very similar dialect of French. And we had a radio station, the people in Louisiana didn't, and so they wanted to put it online. And so we did that in 1999. We put a radio station online. It was fucking cool. Because the largest employer left the area, a a lot of elderly people in the rural area didn't have access to their doctors anymore. We just the government closed down a bunch of doctors' offices. And, you know, it was a real problem. We couldn't get doctors to come to the area. We couldn't get young doctors to come to the area because there were, you know, no other young people in the area. And I said, well, fuck it. We got, you know, we're installing this fiber network. We got all the offices. Let's go buy some big-ass TVs and stick some fucking cameras on them and let people go, you know. We called it teleconferencing back then. You know what you called Zoom today? We called it teleconferencing. And, telecommuting. Anyone remember that? So, and so we did this telehealth. You could go in and stare into a TV and talk to your doctor who was 3 hours away. And it was badass. And there are a bunch of startups doing that now. The only difference is you have that big-ass TV and the big-ass camera and your phone in your pocket. And so that's cool. But what about the software? Because we're all here to talk about software, right? So I was, at the time, 19 to 21, 22 years old. I did all those cool things, but those were just the side job. And we're here to talk about software, so let's see what I can remember about that. So I got in there and I'm running this this thing, where, you know, managing a project, install some fiber, and you know, putting some doctors on TV, and you know, putting some, you know, French people on the fucking internet, and you know, there's a whole bunch of other projects going on in my office, right? There's you know, some artists doing some shit. There's like this one business development guy who's trying to get like you know, people to open up hotels and stuff in the area, as if there weren't like 400 empty houses across the street. And you know, we just got a bunch of shit going on. It's a very tourism-heavy community, and one of the cool things that happens in, you know, nice places to live but not nice places to work is you get a lot of artists showing up there because, you know, if there's no jobs to be had, well, artists can move in. So, so anyway, so they started this project and they hired two really fantastic artists, Wayne Boucher and Bonnie Baker. No relation, by the way. She's way too fucking nice to be related to me. Their job was to make a website to put all the artists in the region online. And this is a place where most people, like, people didn't have cell phones. That most people didn't even have an internet connection at the time in this region. And their job was to go around, take pictures of art, write up stories about the artist, and put it online. And they spent a whole year doing that, and I got a frantic call from them one day, and Stephen, we need you to come down to our office because we might have fucked up. And I said, all right, well, what's going on? Well, we got all the data, and we got all the stories, and we got everything, and we're ready to go, and it's all in the spreadsheets, and we've got all the stuff. But we then went and asked for some quotes on how much it's going to cost to build the website. We don't have enough money left. We didn't know how much money it cost to build a website. And I said, well, isn't that a good fucking question to ask before you start collecting data and stuff? And they said, we had no idea how much it was going to cost. And I said, all right, well, tell me what you need. And so they gave me that design. And I apologize for the, you know, the question marks there. I pulled all this shit off the Internet Archive. The Wayback Machine helped me out an immense amount here. And so the designer sort of did, like, you know, and this is like top quality design for 1999, 2000. Like, this is, you know, this is one of the prettiest websites on the whole internet. And you know what's funny? The guy who designed all this shit, Ian, he burned out so hardcore on this job. As soon as they shut down the organization, he joined the army, and now he hangs at a cormorant helicopters and takes pictures because that's less stressful than working in this government office. I pinged him a couple of years ago on Facebook, and I said, hey, man, are you still doing design? He said, no shit, dude. I might be getting deployed overseas to go take pictures of people shooting at me. All right, cool. So anyway, we built this, you know, Ian did sort of a mock-up of the design. I said, fuck it, I'll build it. So as if I didn't have enough work to do already, I built this thing, and I built it in Python and Postgres. And you know, it was okay. So then I did this one, and never do anything at work that's not really part of your job description, because then it becomes your fucking job. So, you know. So this one was Perl and Postgres, I think. And that one was like, so the Fundy Arts website, can I go back? Holy shit, it goes both directions. Oh, we're gonna be here for a while. So this one here, you could like, I didn't even notice that in the picture the dude's got his hands, his face. Wow, that's awesome. So anyway, so in this one, you could actually like buy art online with your credit card and shit in 1999. And we had like this thing where when there was a sculpture, Ian would go and take pictures of it, like rotating around, and we had to use this Java applet to make it so that you could spin around art pieces and interactively on the web and stuff. It was badass. And I had never heard of anything being sold on the internet before we did this thing. So that was cool. And then this one here, you could do like online bookings to restaurants and reserve tables and online book hotels and shit, and that was really cool. And I wonder if my video is going to work. Oh yeah, and then we hired some idiot to make an events calendar. And he just sort of flaked out and took the money. And I said, ah, fuck it. So I did this one in PHP and MySQL. Each one of those 3 websites had between 20 and 30,000 daily active users. The staff was me, part-time, and an occasional intern. I'm not saying that to sniff my own farts. I'm trying to, set up the story here. All right? Because I'm not exceptional. Anybody can do this shit. Now this was where it got really cool, and this is where I really fucking wish I had my notes, because there's a narrative to this story. So, okay, so, whoops, let me just see here. Oh shit, did I start a quarter after? Right on. Am I good? All right. Okay, good. Okay, so when I joined the WVDA and the Smart Communities Project, my boss's name was Tom Porter. And I don't know if he's still alive, because he was like 60 then, this is like 20 years ago, or if he ever went to prison for what I'm about to tell you. So I'm not talking about when he used to buy me beer and I was underage, because that was awesome. I wouldn't have reported him for that. He owned dial-up internet providers. Everybody remember dial-up internet providers? Yeah, all right. Oh, they were badass. So he owned a dial-up internet provider, and what happened in Canada in the late 90s was the biggest, wherever you lived in Canada, if you owned a dial-up internet provider, the biggest cable company and the biggest telephone company would buy your shit from you for a shitload of money. Because now in every community in Canada, there are only 2 internet providers, whoever the cable company was 20 years ago and whoever the phone company was 20 years ago. So Tom Porter had the largest ISP in that rural area, and he wanted to get this government job. But back 20 years, I know it's not a big deal today, especially if you watch American and Canadian politics, but there's this thing called conflict of interest where you're not supposed to profit off of your government job. And back 25 years ago, we gave a shit about that kind of stuff. We didn't actually want to break the law. So, Tom decided to, try and get away with breaking the law by pretending to look like he wasn't breaking the law. And he sold his internet provider to one of his buddies before he could qualify for getting a government job for way more money than it was worth. And they had a handshake agreement that as soon as Tom got this fancy government job, he would give his buddy a contract for way more money than it was worth to sort of pay him back with money that wasn't his. And I believe that's called embezzlement. I didn't know the technical terms for this shit because I was only 19 years old. But anyways, that's what happened. So eventually Tom got found out and got fired, and he got replaced by my boss, Leslie, who had to then deal with the vendor. Oh, the project that Tom sold was these fucking kiosks. He said, we want 100 kiosks with touch screens in them to put them in tourism places all over Nova Scotia and surrounding areas so people can walk up and get information about the area, book a hotel, book a restaurant, learn about the arts, look at a fucking map, really cool stuff. And Tom's friend made about 30 kiosks and then kept trying to shake us down for more money. We need software licenses for the kiosk software. We need this. We need Windows licenses. We need more RAM and all this shit. And so he came in. I wish I could remember what order my slides go in. Hey, there it is. All right. So he came in one day. Man, I'm doing this one from memory. So he came in one day looking for more money. And I told him, I was 19. I had blue hair. It's not shown in the picture here, but I had blue hair. It was like fucking Smurf blue. And I used to wear board shorts and Hawaiian shirts back when I used to be cool. And so we come in, and he's telling us he wants the moon and the stars, and just all of his hopes and dreams are laid out. I need this much money per kiosk. I need all this shit. We need to hire more developers. We need to hire this. So what do you think? And I said, I'm not giving you another fucking red cent. You've already wasted all the money. You've only delivered 30 fucking machines. You're supposed to deliver 100. They don't work. They're too slow. You're not getting any fucking more money. And he stood up and said to my boss, who the fuck is this kid? And my boss said, this kid's in fucking charge. And he just said, you're not getting any more money. We'd already given him like $1.5 million. And he delivered basically nothing. And I wanted badly to get my hands on those kiosks. Whoops, we're gonna go back. Those kiosks are badass. So in this little case there, it's like a Pentium 3 computer with a CRT touch screen. The high school kids in the area realize that you can disable a CRT static touch screen with the eraser head on a pencil. So we used to have to send interns around in a car with little wires and collected to a 9-volt battery to, recharge the screen. That was badass. So anyways, we had these kiosks, and he got up and started cursing and stuff. And I said, look, motherfucker, you got 12 people working on this. You got over $1 million. You haven't delivered shit, and I could do the whole thing by myself in a week. And so he started throwing shit, stomped out of the room. And my boss said, wow, he was pissed. And I said, yep. Do you care? And she said, no, but you're going to have to do it in a week. And I said, all right. So I grabbed one of the machines from my office. I installed Debian on it because I was a Debian developer when I was 11 years old. That was, old faithful. Can't beat a Debian machine. Yes, I do use a Mac now. Suck it. Then I created a custom web browser using Python and GTK Moz embed. I'm not sure if anybody remembers any of this shit, but you used to be able to take a Mozilla rendering widget and, kind of like every Electron app you do now, except that mine only used like 2 megabytes of memory and didn't crash and actually was, kind of useful for something. Electron's not new technology. I did that shit in 2001. We also need an on-screen keyboard, and fortunately for me, because, free software, the GNOME on-screen keyboard project existed, and all it would do is shit a whole bunch of GTK buttons on the thing and put a label on each one, and I said, whoa, wait a minute. What if I just don't make those GTK buttons, I make them GTK images and clickable, and then we can stitch them all together and make a cool, and I wish I had a fucking screenshot of the keyboard because it looked so awesome, and the dude who made it might be dead now because he hangs out of helicopters for a living. So we did this, and the video doesn't work, I don't think, but you could drag your finger up and down that motherfucker and watch the tides go up and down. Is it gonna work? Oh, see, look, on my Mac, that's a fucking video, and it's impressive and lovely. And you can see the tides going down, and all right, well, whatever. So anyways, I was one dude, and these are all the projects I was responsible for by myself. And I just said project, and that's the Canadian way to say it. Americans put the A's and the W's in all weird places. So actually, I just realized I missed a couple, but that's not the point. The point is, that's a lot of shit, okay? There's a lot of shit that's changed in the last 25 years since I did all that stuff. Let me just ask a couple of questions, and I may be burying the lead here for future slides, because I have no fucking idea what direction this is going in now. If you had, let's see, here, let me use this fancy motherfucker, look at that. If you had one of these, okay, 10 to 30,000 daily active users, online shopping, some 3D shit, how many people are going to staff that project in 2024? How many?
7 plus minus 2.
I like that answer because it sounded like you thought about it. All right. Okay. I've seen a couple of projects like this. And yeah, it's, half a dozen to a dozen these days. And they don't make any money. I mean, you can count them if you want. Because of this job, I'm also a PMP certified project management professional because we signed some contract and they put me in charge and they said, you can't put this kid in charge. This needs to be a PMP certified project management professional. And my boss said, how many weeks does that take to get? And so she sent me away to get my project management professional certification so that I could sign a contract. So anyway, so the point is, there's a lot of projects here and any one of them probably should have been done by more than one teenage shithead. And so, how many people here work on things that have fewer than 30,000 users every day? All right? Okay, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Sergey, how many people are on your team? 50? 50 people, fewer than 30,000 daily active users. That's awesome, man. All right, are you selling drugs online? All right. Do you deliver to Sweden? All right, so, and I mean, daily active users isn't the only thing. You know, some things are harder than others. Name your sex tape. Things have become easier because of all the lovely shit we have now. When I built that first one in Python, I was handwriting requests to answer. I was handwriting everything. I had to manually chisel all of those HTTP headers out of the stone that I was delivered. Okay, all while remembering to keep my indentation accurate. That's a lot of work for a grown-ass human, and I was only 19. Okay, so, you know, we had CGI. That made things easier. CGI was a protocol that made things easier, not the computer graphics bullshit. That always confuses me when people say, ooh, did they use CGI in this new movie? And I'm like, why the fuck would they? We got application servers now. That made things really cool. Except for when it was, what was that weird one in Ruby years ago? No, that was pretty good. Yeah, Mongrel. Oh, that one sucked ass. Okay, what if we want interactivity in our websites, right? That's got to be easier. Modern websites are way more interactive than they used to be. Bullshit. We had Java applets. Java applets are way better than Electron and React and all that bullshit. We had Flash too, but Flash can go fuck itself. I'm really glad Steve Jobs put that in a coffin before he put himself in a coffin. Flash is dead because Steve Jobs told it to eat apples. Sorry, if you're not an Apple nerd, you might not get that one, but Steve Jobs is dead because he wouldn't go to a real doctor. He thought he could cure cancer by eating apples. Please don't put this on the internet. I'm not even drunk. This is the first one I've done sober in years. We also had interactivity with JavaScript. None of the shit that you do today in JavaScript is new. You just spend a lot more time doing it and looking stupid on Twitter. You know, since then, we got frameworks. We didn't have frameworks. We didn't have shit back in early 2000s. We got frameworks. There's one really great framework in Ruby. All right, so things have become easier because we got all this extra shit that we didn't have 25 years ago. But we've made them harder either because we suck or because, you know, when this industry was coming up 25 years ago, a bunch of us were 19 years old and didn't know how to constrain ourselves. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I made this. Oh shit, I did make all of your lives harder and I'm really sorry. I don't know why you guys still use RSpec or invite me to this shit. I've ruined all your lives. So, I mean, you guys know how to write tests now, right? Just use the one with test in the name. So we made them harder. And so in the olden days, we had like, you know, the internet, although it wasn't a cloud back then. It was more like a fog. And we had an application, and the application usually talked to a database, I would say, you know, most of the time. And then somewhere along the way, we decided, well, wait a minute. This one code base thing is just way too fucking easy. What if we had two? Have you ever seen the back of a code base on weed? So then we just decided to start doing everything twice and running it once in the browser and once on a real computer. And that wasn't enough. So then then everyone misread the Growing Object-Oriented Software Guided by Test by Nat Friedman and Steve Price. And they they read like the cover and maybe the introduction and then threw the book away and said, I got this. And they said, hey, let's have many code bases. That's not what the fucking book said, by the way. Okay, so what have we done with ourselves? And why? So we've increased team sizes. That's great. I'm a huge fan for giving more people jobs and making them work fewer hours so they can spend more time with their dogs. I think there's a dog picture coming up. I can't remember. We increased communication overhead. When you do everything in your back-end team, then you got to do it again in your front-end team. Now they have to talk to each other. And, sometimes you got to wait overnight for the email and all that shit. So, everything and communication is the hard part of software development. So we just made that difficult for no fucking reason. We increased our technical overhead because now everyone needs to learn, the one true framework, Ruby on Rails. And then they also have to learn some garbage like React or Nuxt or Nesticles or whatever the fuck they call the last thing. And there's a new one every 5 minutes. So that's what this talk was going to be about. It was going to be about the dark ages of Rails when nobody was actually using Rails. They were just doing shit in React. Well, there you go. 2 for 1. There's that talk. Okay, so increased technical overhead. We got all this extra shit to learn. We're introducing points of failure. Everyone's seen those gray boxes when you're scrolling through websites supposed to load really fast, but none of your fucking days there, just a bunch of gray boxes? Thanks, React. Thanks, JavaScript people. Never got a gray box. TurboFrames never gave me a gray box. Ooh, that sounded really dirty. Okay, we distance ourselves from our users, right? That's the most important thing. We've got to be close to our users. We've got to talk to our users, find out what they need, find out what we got to do for them, and, give it to them as fast as possible. And we're not doing that either. And why do we do this? I don't know if I have the answer, so I'm just going to skip forward for a second. Oh, here we go. Because the big businesses want to commoditize developers. They want to make sure, and I hope the next slide is the one I think it is. Limiting risk, there we go. Okay, if a large company could hire 1 developer or 2 developers to do a job, but they hire 12 instead, half their team can quit and they still have more than enough people to do the job. Also, okay, now that's the shitty way to look at it. The nice way to look at it is if you've got all these spare developers, you can go, hey, we're going to try something out. We're going to go do something crazy over this way. We're going to go do something stupid over here and see if it works out. Throw some shit at the wall, see if it sticks. That's a great reason to hire a bunch of developers you don't need. The other reasons, not so good. Prima donnas, I'm sorry. I'm definitely one of those. Sometimes I just build shit because it's what I want to build. And fuck the users. I mostly grew out of that now because I don't want to build anything anymore. My hair's a little bit too gray for that shit. But developers are shitty, and we act like princesses sometimes, and we've all done it. So that's another reason. Oh yeah, disproving Brooks' law. We're trying to get 900 women to make 900 babies in 1 month. It's so nice coming to these things in Europe. When you go to a Rails conference in the US or Canada, nobody gets any of these jokes because they're all like, man, they're all still going through puberty. And it doesn't have to be this way because, we made everything easier and everything's become easier and we're making it harder because we're idiots. So how do you do that? You use full stack frameworks. Use Rails. Don't do, we use Rails plus React, plus Next whatever, plus blah, blah, blah. No, Rails gives you everything you fucking need. One toolbox, that's it. Don't go, just one set of tools. We need to have one source of truth, one book, one set of skills, one vendor. Now I know that, in open source land, it's not really a vendor because it's just a gift that you're getting, but actually, Xavi made an excellent point about Zeitwerk, about it, perhaps not going into Ruby core because it doesn't match, it doesn't match. That's right. When you use Rails, Rails is your vendor. the opinions that you follow Rails as opinions. And when you don't, stop using Rails. Because you lose all the benefits of your single framework when you get off the rails, when you stop doing that stuff. Stick with your vendor's opinions. If you're a Microsoft shop, don't fucking use Ruby. Get all of the MSDN love that you can get, because Microsoft writes great documentation. Use all the latest .NET technologies. I'm not joking. I mean it. If you stick with your vendor, there's less overhead. Because things have become easier, and they will continue to be easier if you do all these things. Rails is awesome. We all know Rails is awesome. Here's all the shit it gives you. Everyone in this room knows it. I'm sure I'm way fucking over time now, so I'm just going to bust through. Okay, soon you're going to get sensible mobile applications, push notifications, built-in authentication, simple deployment, and improved job management. And so, let's not make it harder, right? What should we do about it? I want you to use modern tooling, not whatever JavaScript framework came out yesterday. All JavaScript frameworks suck. It doesn't matter how young they are. And they all suck because of how young the people who created them are. Stick to defaults. RSpec is not a default. Stop it. Manage your dependencies. Every dependency, everything you add to your gem file is someday going to become your fucking problem. Treat it that way. Avoid duplication. I was just going to say it twice, never mind. Remove communication barriers. Things that change live together. Every time the front end changes needs a back end change? That's the same code base. It should be the same fucking people working on it. They should be in the same room. Things that change together live together. The code that changes together lives together. This is a code. This is, code. This is advice for your code base. It's also advice for your organization. There's enough real work out there to do. Let's not go creating extra. Let's not make up work to do just because we feel like it. I want everyone here to do more with less. This is what I want to see in my remaining years in the software industry. I've been here a long fucking time, and I don't want to be anymore. I just want to see people doing more with less. The tech layoffs have sucked for a lot of people, but holy shit, did we need like 75% of this industry to be unemployed. Just not, I prefer if I wasn't included in that 75%. So, it's, I just want the 25% of this industry that are my friends and people that I trust to still be doing shit. So, thanks.
Thank you, Steven. Maybe one question. Who would like to ask a question?
There's no time for, whatever.
Oh,
Go nuts.
Same guy.
I have a question about the battery pencil and the touchscreen CRT.
Yeah.
What was that about?
So I don't actually know the details about how it works, but like a regular HP pencil that has like an eraser on the end, the kids from the high school figured out that when they walked into the mall where one of these things was and they touched the eraser to the screen, the static charge that it used static electricity to figure out where your finger was. The eraser from I suspect, actually, now that I'm thinking about it 20 years later, I suspect it was because it was a piece of rubber with metal tin holding it to the wood, and it might have been the metal that was actually disrupting it. But they knew that if they touched the eraser to the screen, it would take away the static charge and the touchscreen wouldn't work anymore. Yeah.
Thanks.
It was a pain in the ass.
Anyone else? No? So, thank you, Steven.
Awesome. Thank you, man.